Hi, everyone. This is Micah. I just want to let you know that during this episode, Christy and Jay are fidgeting with their mics. So just keep that in mind while listening. They don't have any stands right now for the mics, so they're just holding them. But go ahead and enjoy the rest of the episode.
All right. Well, welcome to My Therapy Hat podcast. I'm here with Jay, one of my former colleagues. And if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm an alcoholic, and Christy and I have known each other for a little over 3 years, almost to the day. I came in April 10th to my time when we first were introduced. Christy and I have spent many hours doing a lot of different things in therapy, mostly crying, my part, or not her part.
I don't cry.
You don't cry. No, you just call me out on my shit and I have to cry because I failed many times and I needed to do that. There's a whole podcast on that we just finished on grieving and failure.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much 2 years of my therapy of learning how to deal with my failure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, that's beside the point.
One thing I'd like to point out is I do make grown men cry. So.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, you did it for
several
me very
times.
easily.
Yeah.
A lot. But we also then became colleagues about a little over a year ago. And that's been a whole different side of Christy that I've not gotten to know. She's very tenacious, very driven about what she believes. She's very passionate. And I enjoy that part.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad I got to share that part with you because when I was asked like who I would want to bring on my team, it was you because I saw the work. I saw the growth and that was like inspiring to me. And that's one of the things like I've told my husband and he knows like I can't share much with him. But he has seen me cry. He's seen me just be excited about growth for clients. And I'm like, I can't tell you, but my client just had the biggest breakthrough. And he's seen those things in me and he's seen that passion. He's seen when I do get angry about something, it's a passion. Because one of the things is this is the field. I love this field. I love what I do. I love how I help people. But I am, like I've always said, like even in recovery, the counselors stand out front. They're the ones that are the face. Me as the therapist, I was Oz. I was behind the curtain most of the time. You know, rarely does someone say, oh, and here's my therapist. I personally don't like to be acknowledged like that. I like it to be, well, this is your work, your growth, your process. And yeah, I helped a little bit on the side.
A little bit.
But it was all about you. But again, it's nice to hear like that, you know, we have this history together and we've kind of grown in these different stages. It's been exciting.
Yeah.
I've loved it.
Really
but one of the things that I did want to talk to you about today, and this when I came up with this topic, I was like, oh, Jay is a perfect one to talk about with. It's self-care.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things with like you in addiction and even me with like being a therapist, we have to practice self-care. We have to have boundaries. One of the things that I do for self-care, and this is one thing that my husband, he was really diligent. And I appreciate the fact that when we were looking for a house to buy, I told him, I said, I need someplace that's quiet. My life listening, you know, because people are like, I don't know how you listen to things like what you hear all day long. Trust me, you guys are chaotic sometimes, you know?
I'll own that.
And I just told him, I said, just for my own self-care, I need someplace that's quiet. I need someplace that's away from everything. I need someplace that I can go out in the backyard and I don't hear traffic or I don't hear a lot of noise. He found that for me. And I'm really appreciative because this is my little sanctuary. It is very quiet. It is very tranquil. You and I walked through my backyard today and I just absolutely love it. But that is my self-care, is getting away. I'm a homebody. I just did a profile for my new position. I like to garden and crochet. Yeah, I like to garden, crochet, get tattoos and heavy metal. I mean, I don't know how they all fit together, but somehow they do.
It's all in this little package sitting in front of you.
Woo, right here. But that's how I self-care. But like you as a recovering addict, you working in this field now and helping people with their mental health and stuff. What does your self-care look like?
Well, after I started working with you, actually you abandoned me.
I did because I
and
hired you.
because she hired me, and I couldn't be therapized by her.
I remember the conversation. Jay, I'm gonna have to fire you because I want to hire you.
Yeah, it's like, so what do I do now? It's like, but we have a relationship, and she's breaking up with me. And anyhow. So yes, I still go to therapy, and that's a very good self-care for me, because I still have things that I still need to work on. And there are times where I still cry in front of my new therapist.
Perfect.
Christy already knows everything about me, and so there's not going to be anything new and marvelous that I couldn't explain or talk about. But I've been able to open up even new areas that I hadn't been working with you about.
Good.
And it's made a world of difference. But self-care isn't just going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care can be as much as going outside, taking a 5-minute break and just breathing in a quiet area someplace. It can be as much as doing something that you enjoy doing. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's gardening, maybe it's going to have your nails done. If you like sitting in that toxic environment, that's
I love it.
More power to you. I would rather go get in a lot of pain and have a lot of tattooing done. But
I like that one too.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of different facets to me.
So self-care can mean a lot of different things. It doesn't have to cost anything. Some of my best self-cares during the summertime is just walking through the frozen food aisle at the store.
Because it's nice and cold?
Because it's cold. I hate hot. It's right now. It's like in the mid 60s outside, maybe early 60s, whatever. Right now outside, I'm in shorts and a tank top.
But you're always in shorts and a tank top, so it's not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Freeze me to death when it's
dead winter. I'm still in a tank top and shorts, and everybody's walking around with parkas and thermal underwear on, and I'm going, what is wrong with them? Heaters under their desk. What is wrong with you?
Okay, now we're giving all my secrets. I had the heater under my desk.
Oh
now.
my gosh.
Electric blanket,
yeah,
pad.
But that self-care for me is going through the freezer. I have actually asked the manager at Vaughn's, can I just pack stuff back here when it comes in from the truck?
Please hire me.
And just not even hire me. Just I'll do it for free.
I'm volunteering. They're like, yes.
Here's my name. Put it in speed dial. You need some extra help. I'm here. Don't pay me, because otherwise I have to run my AC at home for the cold. That's self-care for me. Going in for a nice dip into the river or the ocean where it's 52 degrees. Oh, that is
I just think of
self-care
my body turning into an ice cube.
Yeah, I sat in the Pacific Ocean one summer when it was 52 degrees. The ocean's always either 51 or 52.
Oh, okay.
On the
Didn't
coast.
know that. Thank you.
At Central Coast around Santa Cruz, that's about the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 6 hours in there one day. It was great. I mean, my skin had the goosebumps and everything on it.
It was blue.
I came out. And everybody goes, Jay, aren't you cold? I go, no, I'm perfectly fine. The cold is now absorbed all the way down to the core of my being. I am happy.
My core is frozen.
It is frozen. Yeah.
So there's your self-care.
That's my self-care. It's not everybody's self-care, and it doesn't
got a little
have to
carried
be.
away there. I was thinking I was going to lose you to the beach here for a second.
I'm actually thinking about the beach right now.
Yeah, I could tell. So one of the things that I like to encourage people about self-care is to rethink self-care. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, and like I've said, laying in the bathtub with a box of chocolates and listening to, soothing spa music. Not that I've ever done that. But it doesn't have to be that. It can also be, and is often, something that challenges you. Mm-hmm. That can be self-care. I remember way back when I was in my internship, working with someone who struggled with self-care. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna really dig into this, and I'm gonna research this. So I brought her a bunch of information. And that's when I said, self-care isn't just, the relaxation. It's challenging yourself. Mm-hmm. What have you done to challenge yourself lately? And she sat there and she's like, oh, she really had to think about it, and she hadn't. A couple weeks later, she came back and she was going skydiving. I was like, holy what? I was like, that would scare the crap out of me. And she goes, that's why I'm doing it. She goes, it's something I've always wanted to do. It kind of scares me. And she goes, and I'm going to do it. I was like, and that is self-care.
Yeah.
That is pushing yourself to do something. And then she came back and the experience was wonderful. She was already planning the next one. And I was like, oh my God. So this has become like a thing for you. So kind of like how when you were talking about tattoos, I look at tattoos as my self-care. I can always tell, and I know that Cameron, we go to the same tattoo guy. Micah and I have talked about him a couple of times. He can always tell when I'm being a little impulsive, being a little anxious, because I shoot him like all these ideas and I'm like, when can we schedule? Okay, I can't schedule them because I'm going to have to wait. It's like this impulsivity, but I can tell that I need some self-care. I could tell that I need, and I call it pain therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I pay him because he sits there and like gets a whole therapy session out of me, but that's,
That's a whole nother
I'm going
issue.
to have him on here. We're going to have to talk about that because
Mhm.
that's just not even fair to me. But stuff like, I mean, I look at that and like you were saying, like the going to the spa or, getting your toes in, which is something I need to do. Those are also self-care. People laugh because like Cameron's the one that laughed because he was like, here you like tattoos and heavy metal and you crochet. Yeah. Crocheting is something for me because I struggle with anxiety. It has a lot to do with counting and staying in a pattern. And it really helps me slow my mind down. When I am feeling super anxious, and I didn't get to show you, we had a little tour around my new house, but I have my crocheting box in there. If I'm anxious, I pull that sucker out and I have a project that I'm working on right now.
I'm sure Robert says, what are you anxious about every time you pull that
Every
out?
single time. I'm like, I just got to crochet.
Leave me
He
alone.
leaves me alone. But one of the things that I wanted to point out about self-care, and I pointed this out to Micah too, because earlier in a podcast, we talked about people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care allows us to refocus and reframe on ourselves, to think about, what I need. I can't take care of other people. You can't take care of other people. There's not a whole lot of other people that can take care of other people if they don't practice self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the big elements about not looking at self-care as selfish. I have to take time away to focus on me so I can help my clients. I worry about, like, I have 2 stepdaughters that are nurses, and I worry about them because those are long hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work. I'm constantly I don't constantly check, but I check on their Instagram and I see that they're doing things that they enjoy. And I'm like, oh, good. They're practicing self-care because they literally cannot be present to take care of those people if they're not taking care of themselves.
Right.
So in you being in recovery and being a sponsor, how does that resonate with you?
Well, see, and kind of what you said is being present with other people. My self-care also is going to meetings, being a sponsor, doing those kind of things is some of also my self-care, because that gives me that introspective thinking that I need for my own recovery. But for my own person, just being who I am. But also, there are other things that I like to do that. I love to cook. And so self-care for me is making a nice quiche or maybe some nice mint chocolate chip brownies. Or maybe just getting a cold drink at Starbucks or someplace. Yeah, this morning I couldn't decide whether I wanted hot or cold. And the gal behind the counter said, "Well, it's supposed to be really cold today." I said, "That doesn't mean shit to me." So I want the frozen drink. So I got the frozen drink first, and then I got the hot drink. And what was left of my frozen drink, I put in.
Oh wow! So you've been at it all morning, huh?
I've got it going.
Dang.
That's self-care for me.
Mm-hmm.
So just treating myself to just little things doesn't have to, again, take a lot of time, but just enough to go pause, because sometimes life and everything around the news, everything's going on, the market, tariffs,
chaos.
I can't handle it anymore. I just got to escape. And so my escape, my self-care is being able to take care of Jay, because otherwise that other stuff will get to me, and I can't deal with that all the time. So that self-care allows me to refocus and redefine where I'm supposed to go and what my path that I want to go down do.
And one of the things that I had to learn was I had to learn self-care, because when I was thinking about this topic, I thought back to like my mom and my grandparents. My dad was really good at self-care. He would just go lock himself in. We had a music room when I was growing up. I mean, any type of instrument that you wanted, I played the drums, by the way. I'm a drum set back there for a hot minute. But he would just go lock himself back there and just play the guitar. And it was so relaxing to hear my dad in the back room just playing the guitar. And you could always tell. And I know that he did that now for like a self-care, because he worked in a loud factory all day long. I'm surprised he's not deaf. Maybe he is. I don't know. But he did that just to kind of ground himself. And, because there's a grounding to a guitar, to, playing music and stuff. And so when I look back at like how my mom self-cared, she went to aerobics, but she was always busy. And it wasn't just like, she didn't just disconnect, and then like my grandparents, my granny especially, always busy, always doing something. I've learned that like sometimes not learning self-care can be generational. I was under that impression that if I wasn't doing something, then I was lazy. I was, I couldn't think of being bored. I couldn't think of that, because a woman has to always be doing something. There's always something to do, is what I was told. I've learned, and it was my therapist again, who I was going through school, and I'm taking care of kids, and I'm going through school, and just, everything that they have to do. I mean, look at him. He didn't get that age, and that old by, me not putting some attention over there. So I would go in and I'd sit down and, well, what do you do for you? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. It took me probably a good 2 or 3 sessions to figure out what I could do that was just for me, because everything was for other people. And I remember when I found, when you came in this morning, what was I watching?
You were watching, was it Desperate something?
No, it was the Downfall of the Housewives or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I found the Housewives of whatever dipshit county. I don't even know what it was anymore. And I remember going to session and being like, oh my God, I found it. There are these women and they're just outrageous, and I'm just going to watch them, and I'm just going to disconnect. And I could talk to the TV and I can judge them. They don't care. They're on TV. They don't care. Yeah. And she's like, great. So, I go and I do this. So that was my homework. So she's like, so how did it go? Well, I recorded it. So those days that you could record it. I recorded it. And so when the commercials are on, I get up and I do my stuff, and she goes, no, you sit there. What am I supposed to do? She goes, you recorded it, forward through the commercials. And I'm like, I didn't think about that. I was just thinking in my mind, I'm sitting here, I'm taking time, and there's these little segments of the show, and in between I could go do a load of laundry, do this. So it took me another couple weeks to actually get that part down, forwarding. So I remember when I actually accomplished this, I go back and I'm like, watch the whole thing. She's like, you did? And I was like, and I recorded a couple episodes. So I sat there back to back. She's like, you sat there through 2 episodes? Yep. Forwarded through the commercials. Sat there through 2 episodes. Now let me tell you, Jay, I could sit in there on that couch. I can watch just episode after episode of like The Office, Housewives. I could do it. Not even a thought in my mind. Crocheting, laying down. I am judging them. I'm talking back. I'm laughing. I'm saying the dialogue right along with The Office. I look at that as self-care now, because I don't have to always be doing something. If I get everything done and I feel accomplished, that is my self-care. Just sitting there and just taking a minute, opening up the windows and the doors, hearing my wind chimes outside. That to me is self-care. And it took me a while, and I'm saying like to break that generational like curse of I always have to be doing something. And if I'm not doing something, I'm bored, I'm lazy, that was one of the things I had to overcome. Self-care does not mean that I'm being lazy. I am actually doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting effort into maybe not even doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm taking care of me. And in order to take care of you, to take care of clients, to take care of my house, to take care of, even like to help my husband, I have to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole point. You being a sponsor have to, like you said, you have to focus on you, because you being a sponsor, me being a therapist, we hear a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not completely in that headspace, are you ready to hear that stuff?
I think that's kind of the part of all of that. And we talked about this in the last podcast, is that we have to be open, willing, and honest with ourselves. And being that open, willing, and honesty with ourselves grants us the ability to learn from failure, which was what our last
Mm-hmm.
podcast was, but then also learning how to have self-care, because sometimes maybe you were brought up that self-care is not it. You
Like
just
me,
mentioned
yeah.
it. Yeah. And self-care was selfish to a lot of
Yeah.
us as we were growing up. So it is a learned behavior. And so having to even consider taking a few moments or an hour or a couple hours, God forbid, in a day,
Oh my God.
to actually just take care of you for a minute. Maybe self-care is doing the laundry. Maybe self-care is cleaning the kitchen. Maybe it is some of those things, and that's okay. If it calms your mind down to where you don't have that anxiety all around you, that can be self-care. I know for me, going out into my garage, I've been cleaning it out since I moved into this new house, and actually now starting to see that I have a tool area. I actually now have a workbench that I can move my tools to that, and I can start building and operating and doing things that I want to do. That is self-care, because I've organized it enough to do that. And sometimes that's maybe all we need to do for a little bit, is just to organize a few things. So making sure your forks are in the right place, making sure that the dishwasher is unloaded or the dishes are clean before you go to bed. However, whatever works for you is that self-care that we all need to have sometimes. And you just need to be able to be open, willing, and honest to find out what those things are.
Well, in self-care, as you were talking, I was thinking about it. I've often used, like, I'll shoo my husband out of the kitchen. He's the one that does the cooking. I know, lucky me. I go in and I clean. I shoo him out of the kitchen because I have a way of doing it. I want to do it very efficiently, but I'm very mindful in how I do it. I get all of this together and I do all the, there's just a mindful routine to that. For me, being mindful in things is also self-care. Because like you said, it helps me manage that anxiety. Because I can look at my kitchen after he's cooked all day, 3 or 4 meals, and he uses every single utensil, pot, pan. I'm like, good God, but my mind starts automatically going and organizing it. To me, organization is a self-care. I have a friend that she had a house up at Shaver Lake, and I know they sold it, and I'm like, dang
What's
it,
wrong
man.
with them
I don't know. They didn't ask me,
They
of all.
never asked me.
No, and I was just like, dang, I've lost my house. But they had this closet, and I was up there one time. She would let me and the kids go up there and, have our little glamping. My kids didn't know how to camp. They knew how to go to the house in Shaver. And she asked me one time when I was up there, she goes, there's this closet in the hallway. Can you organize that? She knew that I loved doing that. I pulled everything out. And at one point it just looked like this massive just mess and chaos. And I can remember the kids coming up there and going, oh, what did you do? I had to get all that out so I could see and organize it in my mind. Once I got it done, it was color coded. Everything was folded perfectly. I took a picture. I sent it to her and she's like, oh my God. And that made me feel good because it wasn't, I was up there, to relax and shaver, but that was relaxing to me. That gave my mind something to do. It challenged me.
Mhm.
Once I got done, I stood back and I looked and I was like, what else can I organize?
Mhm.
But I thought this
Her
woman
pots and
didn't ask
pans
me
are
to
all
organize
in the
anything
wrong
else.
places. What is she doing with your pots and pans?
What are
I
we
don't
doing here?
get it. Why would you put those over there? I don't.
This
get
is how I
those.
want the kitchen.
Yeah,
I know it's not
I've
mine.
reorganized the kitchen for you. Sorry if it doesn't work for you, but it works for me. For the 3 days that I'm up here, it works for me.
But again, like that to me, that was self-care. That
Yeah.
was it, and to know that someone requested that of me. Oh, I know you like to do this, or can you do this? You're really good at this. I was like, oh my God, like I am really good at this.
Mhm.
You know? And so again, I go back to we have to practice self-care in order to take care of people, events, things that we have coming up. Like we have our daughter's wedding coming up. I literally had to get everything organized, dress, shoes, blah, 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 blah. Everything's ready to go. That was me doing this self-care because I know that I want to go and enjoy that.
Mhm.
I have my daughter's graduation coming up. We got, again, I have the outfit, I have everything ready. We have the Airbnb. We're good to go.
Mhm.
Now I can go and enjoy. There was effort that I had to put into that, but there's a self-care in that as well. There was an organization in that, and I enjoy that. Now, again, you said like sometimes you have to get outside. I know sometimes I just need to get outside and put my feet in the grass.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just need to go, like you said, stand out in the sun and just kind of be there for a minute.
And see, for me too, I like getting on my motorcycle and going for a ride, just to having the wind in my face, the hair blowing through the wind going through my hair, and just being kind of out there. Go for a country drive and just be in
Present.
my head and
with yourself.
being okay with, because you have to be real comfortable riding a motorcycle, because whoever's inside your helmet, that's who you have to live with. Okay, there's no other arguments.
No.
It's only coming from whoever is inside that helmet. And so but it's that kind of thing, to be able to see beauty, to be able to see nature, to be able to see what other people are doing in that freeing environment that you're in control of. And I think that's also self-care, is being able to be in control of your life and being able to seek that pleasure. Sometimes that's a bad word, is to actually have pleasure in our own lives. And that's what self-care is being able to please us for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I
putting
know
me first.
as a people pleaser, that I try not to say that I am anymore, but I am. I have to self-please sometimes. And so it's important for me to, I just got my mic rearranged for myself. Being able to self-please me is also very important. And so it's something that I have to learn. It's a learned behavior. So self-care is a learned behavior, just like being honest with yourself, just like being able to be open-minded is a learning behavior. A lot of things in life, our whole life is a learning behavior. And sometimes we fail and we have to overcome those.
We have to readjust.
And we have to
We have to practice it again. Sometimes you might, like I said, there were several sessions that I went in that I had like quote unquote failed at this homework of self-care. But once I got it, it was kind of addictive. Like I wanted to practice self-care more. I wanted to look for different ways to self-care.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we just got the 10 minutes here earlier. How many minutes do we have? 2. I wanted to share this with you, and I may have shared it with you. Like when I was younger, my papa, he was Irish and Choctaw Indian, and he was very, very in tune with like the earth, and he was a farmer. And so one time we went out on the ranch, and there was this huge tree. I don't even know what kind it was, and we're sitting there and the wind was just blowing and you could see the dirt, rolling through the fields and stuff. And he stopped and he parked where we could watch this tree. And I was like, oh God, what are we doing? I was like, please tell me we don't have to start like a pipe or a pump or something. The wind is blowing. And he goes, Chris, I want you to look at that tree. All right. And he goes, whenever you're struggling or whenever life is just moving, I want you to find a tree. He goes, when the wind's blowing, he goes, watch it. When the wind's not blowing, watch it. There's always life in a tree. And I was like, And if you've noticed, I am addicted to trees.
Mm-hmm.
I love trees. I need to see trees. I need to see movement. I have wind chimes. That was another thing. I have grandparents, that my grandparents on my other side of my family, wind chimes, bird feeders, life. They would just sit out. You can hear my wind chime now.
Mm-hmm.
They would just sit out on their porch and listen to these wind chimes, watch these hummingbirds. So I was raised with this. I was raised to slow down by that generation. But then there was also people in my family who was like, go, 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 go. So it was very contradictory to me. I've always held on to that. I just need to watch a tree. I just need to sit there, and I will just sit there and watch and listen to the wind. I love it when it's windy.
Yeah.
My allergies hate it when it's windy, but I love it because I love the movement. I love the life.
And see, for me too, is like the trees, I like going to the ocean and just listening to the waves crashing on the beach.
There's energy.
There's energy, and I feed off that energy,
Mm-hmm.
but just the repetitiveness
Wow.
of that. I know it's a multisyllabic word that I don't say very well. But just feeling that energy and knowing that I've been in that ocean before and
Mm-hmm.
knowing what that energy really is, I feed off of that, but it centers me. It gives me that time to just sit down and relax. And I've fallen asleep to that. And it is just so relaxing to be able to know that there's that kind of energy
Mm-hmm.
that can just take down everything that's about me and just
That's bigger
allow
than
me,
you.
allows me to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what self-care is. What is it that's going to help you decompress enough to rest?
Mm-hmm. To slow everything down.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of him stopping in front of that tree is watch the tree. Just focus on the tree.
Yeah.
Bring yourself there to that moment and just be at one like with nature. And
Mm-hmm.
that's again, walking outside and just putting your feet in the grass.
Yeah.
Standing outside in the sun. These are easy self-care things. You have to get a little bit more creative to be more challenging with your self-care.
Yeah. And when you can't escape to those places like that, but you've been to those places, think about those places. I know that I can't get to the beach every night because that's where
really?
I'd like to be. I know it's
What?
it's only
It's
2.5 hours
couple
away,
hours.
one way. But Alexa is one of my best girlfriends that I've ever had. She can take me to the beach just like
It's
that.
very accommodating.
Yeah, I'm laying in bed. Alexa, play ocean music, and all of a sudden she's playing ocean music.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I want to hear the thunderstorms. We don't get them here.
We don't get them a lot, no.
But she'll play thunderstorms, and it's wonderful because, again, it's a power greater than ourselves that kind of calms us and brings us to a neutrality that there are things bigger than ourselves that can relax us.
Speaking of bigger than ourselves, and I know I've shared this with you, when we went to Ireland, we stood on the cliffs of Moher, and the energy and the power that just radiates. My husband and I, we went for our honeymoon, and it was just, I told my husband, I was like, this is true power. I stood there in awe of like the energy just coming up those cliffs, and they're huge. They're super tall. I mean, yeah, but that's just, it's something bigger than you. And there's something inside me, like, I cannot wait to get back to Ireland. I told my husband, I was like, that is one of the first places I want to go. I just want to go stand, sit, lay on those cliffs of Moher and just soak up that energy. Because it's something bigger than you. You're connecting, you're reconnecting. And that's self-care, is learning how to reconnect with, like you said earlier, what you need.
Yeah. When I left Sacramento for Fresno, I went up to, for the year before I came here, I actually went to a certain spot up Highway 50 near the American River, and I saw the seasons change at that place. So I know in my mind's eye that I can take myself to that spot and hear the river roaring past, see the snowflakes. I can
Mhm.
feel the wind. I can hear and see the nature around me all times of year. And that also is a relaxing time for me that I can just sit in peace and meditate and relax. So yeah, it's those memories too.
Yeah, and even just having those memories to, like you said, reflect on, that can be your self-care. When
Mhm.
you can't get there, I can't get to Ireland. It's 10 and a half hours away.
Yeah.
You know, um,
What?
yeah, I know. Trust me. I've tried to talk Mr. Dooley into that one a couple different times. But when you can't go, you can practice these things. And practicing self-care doesn't, like you said earlier, doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be, these big long travels. Can be something very attainable, something very present. And that's where we're going to kind of wrap it up. That's what self-care, we need to think of it. It's a way to center ourselves. It's a way to bring our thoughts back to the present, back to ourselves, our needs. And that's how we need to look at self-care. It's not selfish. I'm not being selfish when I practice self-care. I'm telling myself, hey, you need some love too.
Yeah.
You give this to everybody. Give it to yourself for a minute.
And even in the word self-care, we people care, people please,
Mm-hmm.
we're now pleasing ourselves, and that's self-care.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily supposed to be a bad thing. This is a good thing.
This is a good thing. Self-care.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jay. I
Thanks.
appreciate you joining me these past couple segments.
Yeah, this is fun.
I
like
know.
doing
We'll have
this.
to do this again.
Okay.
You have to come up with some topics this time.
Ooh, I can
Ooh.
send you some topics.
Yes.
Ooh, excellent.
Okay, wait for that one.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to My Therapy Hat podcast with Jay.
Hi.
And you can like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. And I have an Instagram page. I say we, like we're all in this together, guys.
We are.